Bueno, aquí regresamos, vamos a jugar The Council y vamos en ¿Dónde está mi madre? Sí. Listo. Capítulo, pues no capítulo como tal, pues estamos en el episodio 2, iniciando el episodio 2 y el capítulo ¿Dónde está mi madre? ¿Cierto? Sí. Listo.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible. Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
Próxima lectura, ¿cuál equipamos? Equipamos, a ver. Esta todavía no se puede equipar. La enciclopedia Denis Diderot and Jean Leroy d'Alembert. Y Pensamientos sobre los hombres y la sociedad de William Alexander Mortimer. Faltan 4 cosas de ahí. Normas de urbanidad y conducta decente. Evelina. Fanny Burney 1778. Un punto de protocolo. Vidas paralelas. Esta. Y esta. Despacho de Lord Mortimer. Ahí van a ver lo que sucedió con Elizabeth. Creo, ¿cierto?
At last,
Episodio 2,
Monsieur
Hide
de
and
Richet.
Seek.
Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to
El episodio se
apologize
llama Hide and
wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times.
Who could have done it?
That is precisely what I would like you to help us determine, Louis. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
Parecía confundida.
She seemed upset about something. I thought she was under the influence of alcohol, but we didn't really speak.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
¿Hay algún
Do you have
sospechoso?
any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
¿Algún detalle sobre esta tragedia?
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Bueno. Señor, vengo a quitarle
Great.
esto de acá
Honey.
y esto de acá. Y vengo a leer esto de aquí.
The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Y vengo a ver más cosas por acá.
Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it.
Vengo a preguntarle al controlador manipulador MK
Your
Ultra.
Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a
Deja de
thing have
decirme Malson,
happened?
yo no soy hijo
That's
suyo.
exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become
Dashing?
infatuated with a fragile
Sí, cómo
young
no.
woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say. One last thing. You must know that Peru hit young Adams on the evening of our arrival.
Sí,
He
yo sé.
apparently violently attacked her in the small salon.
Do you know anything else about the attack?
Oh, unfortunately not. I arrived too late to intervene. Young Miss Adams had already been submitted to the foul lout's rat. Otherwise, you can believe me, it would not have happened.
Ja, ja, ja. Sí, cómo no. Y acá hay otra cosa. ¿Qué será eso? Bueno.
Dante's
Libro.
Purgatory.
El
Why does
purgatorio de
your
Dante.
mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. A Chinese coin, recognizable by the hole in the middle. If I remember rightly, that's called a cash.
Let's go, cash. Nunca he podido descifrar esa caja que está ahí. Jamás, nunca he podido. La lanza de Longino. Esa fue la lanza que atravesó a que crucificaron. Bueno. Pues eso cuenta la leyenda, ¿no? Bueno, la historia. Investiga la muerte de Adams. Voy a empezar por acá a recuperar cosas. Y después me voy a meter a las alcobas y a los cuartos. Y aunque yo sé quién en verdad la mató, voy a acusar a otra persona. O solo voy a decir que se suicidó. Nada más. No, pues voy a pedir. Mejor entro de una vez a la habitación.
Monsieur Jacques Perru?
Voy a entrar de una vez a la habitación de Jacques Perru. De una vez que él reacciona, miren cómo ella reacciona. De una vez se levanta y nos ataca. Reacciona de una forma violenta. Nos dice
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut the
that...
crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
No tiene buen aspecto.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. Everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
Esto ya lo cogí y lo pues,
Dear
toca
Monsieur
volverlo a
Perru,
coger.
I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. All right. I've retrieved everything.
Tengo que volver a ver otra vez este cuarto. Bueno, esta alcoba. Sí, yo vuelvo a revisar todo. Acá no se puede pasar algo. Los guantes. Yo ya había visto todo esto de aquí. Me faltaba era eso de allá arriba. Todavía no se puede alcanzar. Aquí hay unas botas antes, ya las había visto. Recuerden que estamos últimamente repitiendo varios juegos.
All right, Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Ahora le vamos a preguntar una cosa muy tonta que yo sé.
All right.
Que es
Have
muy
you
tonta y
finished?
además
Not
él no
quite.
fue el que la mató.
I'd like you to
Porque
answer a
nosotros
few
sabemos quién
questions.
fue el que la mató y después les vamos a decir quién fue. Es más, sabiendo quién fue el que la mató, nos toca decir que se suicidó porque no hay pruebas y tampoco aparece cuando uno lo juzga a esa persona, no aparece el nombre y sería muy chistoso juzgar a esa persona. Ustedes ya se lo imaginarán por qué.
Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy.
Ahora dice
You
holgazán.
weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
Goodbye, sir. We shall meet.
Y una unidad
Probably.
de Inquisición. Yo ya sabía eso. Por eso quería verificarlo. Y yo sabía que nos iba a decir holgazán. Me lo suponía.
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte.
Primero estamos investigándolos y después vamos a ver el lugar del crimen. Bueno, no importa. Eso no importa.
The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy.
Política. Ratón de biblioteca.
Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in my room? And he gets victory after victory? It's a beautiful weapon. Lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles. My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us soon. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Y dice que está
Lord
muy ocupado,
Mortimer
no está
asked
nada
me-
I
ocupado.
know.
tal
You no
Bonaparte.
doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs
nada
playing
que hacer.
cards.
Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaget as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
Were you able to recognize the prowler?
Unfortunately not, no. It was dark, and Lord Mortimer was waiting for me. I was not really paying attention anyway.
Excuse me for insisting, but if you saw him or her, I'm sure you would have more information than that. It's just that you don't think it can be of help to me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Was it a woman, for instance? Bearing in mind that all the women here wear whalebone dresses, which is rather noticeable.
A man, I should say. I don't recall seeing the silhouette of a dress.
You see, you saw many things, in fact.
Hang on. Laissez-moi réfléchir. Let me think a minute.
A wig? His height? The sound of his footsteps, maybe.
Por fin puedo...
His height. Oui, somewhat imposing. A tall man, and straight. As for the rest, I don't know, Monsieur de Richet.
Not to worry. That's already quite a lot. Thank you for everything. I've been studying him for a while now, and I don't think he was lying.
Primera vez que me dice eso.
I'm
Nunca
surprised
había
how easy it was for me to read him.
que me hubiera dicho
It
eso.
must surely be his military side.
Estoy desarrollando
I wish
facultades y
they all
habilidades
could be like
diferentes a las que
that.
desarrollan
My
otras
investigation would be
personas.
finished already.
Well, have we finished, Monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
Sí. Me dijo cosas que antes no me había dicho. Siempre está...
Amber.
Siempre está ese caballito ahí de ajedrez.
Golden elixir. I'll keep it for later.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our project for a new order for France. I have a proposition to make to you concerning your wish to put a strong leader at the head of France. I trust you to be discreet as to your coming. See you soon. Lord William Mortimer.
There's just
Vamos a
one holster in
revisar
Bonaparte's
esto.
gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him. A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
No, no está ocupado.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room.
Tiene que
Can you
salir
tell
lo
me
de la-
what you
lo del
were
revólver.
doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
Ah, me sale sí, no le... Ah, como no entraba al lugar del crimen. Lógicamente las preguntas no acordan todas con lo del crimen. Entonces me toca ir primero al lugar del crimen. Tengo que ir primero. Pues, ¿dónde es que queda? Aquí. Donde me voy a encontrar a Wagner. En todo caso. ¿Cierto? Miren, ahí está. Me voy a encontrar ahí, miren. Ahí está.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
Nothing special.
Lord Mortimer must have informed you of the necessity for everyone to remain in their rooms until further notice.
Certainly, but I'm a guest, not a prisoner. I was looking for a servant, since we don't all, unfortunately, have one at our disposal.
Yeah, right.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Ahora vamos a entrar a la alcoba de Elizabeth Adams. Elizabeth Adams. En todo caso yo sé qué pasó, pero no les puedo decir nada. Y así sepa lo que pasó, no podemos acusar en todo caso al culpable, porque cuando acusamos al culpable no aparece el nombre del culpable, aparecen otros y podríamos culpar a otra persona y vamos a ver qué pasa, podríamos hacerlo, pero no sé si, ¿cómo haríamos? No sé, vamos a ver qué pasa, qué sucede, qué acontece, ¿cierto?
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of... a chest with a half-circle pattern.
Usar la llave, que ya la teníamos.
An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. The note suggests binding the feet and hands, then blocking the jaws using a piece of cloth to prevent the tongue from being sectioned. That looks like a method to control an epileptic fit. I wonder if Elizabeth is the one being treated for that illness.
Ajá, sí.
The clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time.
Sí, señor. Del bosque.
Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Large quantities could knock out a bull. Could Elizabeth have been drugged? If the body wounds are anything to go by, then clearly not. She put up a fierce fight. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that.
Están insinuando para acusar a Jax de Perú, creo. Y todo suena para que lo acuse, pero yo sé que no fue él, pero si me toca... Es que siempre digo que se suicidó, ¿no? Y en algunos casos dije que fue otra persona, pero es un suicidio, pero es que yo sé que fue otra persona, pero nunca aparece la situación como tal para que fuese la persona que yo sé, porque no aparece
Pentagram?
en la
What the hell's
acusación.
been going on here? I wonder if Elizabeth's death has anything at all to do with this pentagram. If a ritual went wrong and degenerated, Elizabeth would probably have been killed in the center of the pentagram, not 3 meters from here. That's strange. A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages, not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing.
Ahora me volvió a salir.
A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages, not too easy to work out. It's medieval Latin, well, enough to translate a bit.
El demonio.
He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is.
There
Death
she
has
is.
come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing. June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth,
Volver a ver
the
esas
last
cartas
letter
que ya
giving
las
much
había
cause
visto,
for
¿cierto?
concern. 30 November, August 24th.
Ah, la pistola.
A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say, and judging by the weight of it, fairly light. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. Piece of fabric. High quality.
Tengo que ir a buscar más cosas
I'd say
de,
it's silk.
de honey para
By the
llenar más
texture and
los
the gray
esfuerzos.
hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room?
Termino de analizar todo lo de... Y luego vuelvo. Pero voy a ver la daga y luego vengo. A ver si encuentro más cosas por ahí. La hoja. Examinar el cuchillo.
The handprint on the handle is really small. I can't imagine a man with a hand that size. It must be from a woman's hand. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood.
Fue el mismo
The
cuchillo
murderer
parecido
gripped
al
the
que
weapon so
usó
tight that there's no
Emily
blood where he held it.
cuando
The
me
handprint
amenazó en la
indicates a
alcoba.
small and slender hand. The blade is short and thin, well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. Knocked over a bottle of wine. What kind of plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable.
Después voy a ver más cosas. Por el momento voy a analizar y tengo que salir a ver más. A coger más cosas de tomar para mejorar mis posibilidades de investigación.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. The scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? Symbol of Masons? What's that doing here?
Le embarré.
Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. direction of the blood streaks caused by the wounds to the thorax show that she was standing when she lost blood. This proves that she was standing when she was assassinated, possibly held by someone or something. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body.
Tampoco hubo agresión. Yo sé que no hubo agresión sexual.
No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol.
Voy a ir a buscar más cosas, pero antes voy a ver lo de las botas.
Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15.
Aunque no sea el culpable, voy a acusar a Jack de Perú.
Peru?
Voy a acusar a
Washington,
Perú.
maybe.
Sí. Pero me voy a ir. Para
Has
conseguir más
Sir finished
cosas.
with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Voy a ir a donde Napoleón Bonaparte. Pero primero voy a ir a otro lado.
Monsieur Johann van Vulner.
Aquí voy a entrar para coger cosas de honey y esas vainas. Para llenarlos. Bueno, a ver si encuentro.
The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever obedient servant. So, Werner had a relationship with Elizabeth, but that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. A table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. The signs of obscurantism. A chest locked with a 4-letter code.
Zinc.
Surely a word close to the owner's heart. A fragment of amber.
Acá me tocando. Abro.
Appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes, it's horrible.
Horrible.
Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
¿Dónde estuvo anoche? Le volveré a preguntar, aunque yo sé que estaba jugando.
Where were you last night?
In my room.
Ah, no
Read
estaba
a few
jugando.
ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Tar.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. I get the impression that your romance was over. Am I right?
So? What does it matter to you? I would never have attacked her, if that's what you're insinuating.
Who put an end to the relationship? You or her?
It was her. It was her. But what does that matter? We both agreed.
Bueno, ahora me voy de aquí.
We
Porque
finished.
tengo que conseguir más
I'll have a look
cosas.
around and then take my leave.
Para volver a
Do
preguntar
whatever
más
you have
cosas.
to do.
Pues me tengo que ir de acá a otras alcobas para averiguar más cosas que hay acá. Un manuscrito. En todo caso, más adelante tengo que conseguir unas cosas importantes para poder tener una confrontación con él y ganarle la confrontación cuando averiguemos algunas cosas en el futuro específicas e importantes.
Monsieur Jacques Perru,
Sí, ya sé.
Monsieur Napoléon Bonaparte.
Esta vez se demoró en cargar.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
¿Tiene una pistola?
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol.
¿Dónde?
Don't worry,
No lo
it is
veo.
not loaded.
No me la pasó.
Several
Ahí
of
dice
these?
que ahí tiene la
In
pistola.
Corsica, oui,
No me la
but not
mostró.
on me when I am
Este juego
traveling.
tiene un error.
Only a bandit
No me está
would
mostrando
carry
la
such an
pistola. ¿Dónde
arsenal.
está?
Thank you.
¿Dónde está? No la veo.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
No me mostró la pistola. No me la mostró. Dijo que me la había mostrado y no vi ninguna pistola. Pss, mentiroso, el juego además. Dice que mostró una pistola y no mostró nada. Pss.
Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
Lo de la daga, la pequeña daguita. Hay muchas cosas de muchas personas revueltas en esa habitación. Las botas, la pistola, el retazo, de mucha gente.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world.
No.
At least une partie of it.
No.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. P.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
Miren las estatuas que aparecen en el Museo de Lord Mortimer. Y lo mismo ese muñeco de allá.
A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? I will personally see to it that our nation will recover from this impasse. But King George's mental situation is slowing down our decision-taking. Thank you in advance for all your help. William Pitt, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
Puedo informar al rey Jorge del apoyo del Santo Padre. Le ayudaremos a financiar el reclutamiento de regimientos inmigrantes monárquicos para que luchen contra Francia. Su amigo, su eminencia, Giuseppe Piaggi.
Two coils circle the lock. A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that, and as agreed with Queen Charlotte, our friend Duke Hillsborough will carry out his task and meet with you within 6 months. From then on, you'll be free from want. Yours sincerely, William Pitt, Count of Chatham.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumours spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Since your arrival,
Did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I
Porque no le
didn't
pregunté sobre el
take much
cuchillo.
interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
Nami,
We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since a blade penetrated
es
the
la misma
body
que usted
several
tenía,
times,
señora.
the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon
Pero
the
esa
lady,
navaja es
but
suya.
that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is
En
true,
todo caso, yo ya sé lo que pasó,
I'm
pero no
less
se
and less
los quiero decir.
enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject.
Que si supiera no pasaría nada.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Aunque no sé si sea Emma, por las cosas que después, más tarde van a saber. Porque eso nos va a tocar ir ahora donde George Washington. ¿Y aquí quién es que está?
Duke Manuel Godoy.
Ese todavía no ha llegado. Ese es Mercoa. El Piagui no está acá porque está con los
Señor,
Mortimer
His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi.
por allá arriba en el molestando. Está el codo acá, no hay nadie. Ok, donde George Washington es esta.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals. The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England. If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly. Portrait of George Washington.
Ay, qué bien, nada.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know,
No diga nada.
Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
¿Cuál es su cortada? Preguntar por el lautillano.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes, she came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then.
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes, she came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry, countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer, to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured, it looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue. Greetings, Louis.
Yo sé que vamos a gastar eso, pero bueno.
I'm talking to all the guests to find out who has an alibi and, well, who doesn't, Mr. President. Can you tell me what you were doing last night so that I can strike your name off the list?
I spent the night right here, reading.
All night?
Exactly. Emily stopped by in the middle of the night, you can ask her. She wanted to talk about some business we have in common.
Anything whatsoever to do with Elizabeth?
Not at all, Louis. A business matter.
I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Ahora me toca ir otra vez donde Emily.
Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Biaggi. Duke Manuel Godoy.
What can I do for you, Louis?
Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. We're
No,
going to
no
go
son
into a
celos.
jealous rage.
Además, usted es una
No,
manipuladora.
I can assure you of that.
Emma y Emily son unas manipuladoras.
You're preparing a treaty to break the ties between the United States and France.
Whatever are you talking about, Louis?
I read your correspondences, Emily.
It's not what you think. So don't go thinking there's anything personal in it.
Are you trying to break Franco-American agreements, Emily?
That's the job, Louis. We're all doing everything we can to serve the best interests of our nation. It's got nothing to do with you or us.
But why didn't you tell me about it before?
Would you have told me?
I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Hasta el momento, pues uno no sabe muchas cosas de ella, pero nosotros sí descubrimos algunas cosas.
Two
Todavía no
quarrels
tenemos la
circle the
oportunidad de
law.
abrir eso. Todavía no se puede, ¿cierto? Después lo haremos. Ahora, ¿cuál me falta? Me falta alguien. ¿Quién me falta por? A ver, aquí no se puede bajar. Elizabeth, ¿cómo de Elizabeth? Otra vez. Yo sé quién la mató, pero cuando no, les vuelvo a decir, yo sé quién lo mató, pero cuando no haga donde Lord Mortimer, lógicamente, no va a aparecer el nombre ahí de quien sabe uno que la mató, porque además uno le toca decir que se suicidó, pero lo que pasó en realidad, adivinen qué fue. Adivinen qué fue. Muy pronto lo van a saber. Después de como el capítulo, no me acuerdo bien. Como en el 13. En todo caso, y también se da cuenta aún, más o menos qué pasa.
I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose.
Me embarré, no tenía por qué.
What a strange smell. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. At first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death.
Me embarré por usar eso del ojito.
Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin.
Infierno, dice.
Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by, it's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol.
Blood on the right hand. Ah, ahí está la sangre de los cuchillazos que ya se dio.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars.
No, sí se suicidó, pero es que yo quiero... Yo quiero dar un culpable, yo quiero que haya un culpable. Bueno, de antemano, yo quiero decir... Les voy a contar un cuento, este es un secreto. Fue poseída y ella misma se apuñaló, fue poseída. Adivinen por quién. Y la la mantuvieron en un punto en que la mantuvieron estrujada y le hicieron que se clavara 9 veces los puñales ella misma. Pero quiero ensayar qué pasa si yo acuso a otra persona con algunas pruebas poderosas, porque puedo decirle a Lord Mortimer que fue Jack de Perú, porque habían las botas y habían diferentes elementos de agresión, o puedo decir que fue Emily o Emma, o puedo decir que fue el señor Wolner. Voy a ver.
Has Sir finished with this room?
Yes.
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Ahora, ¿para dónde me voy? Yo aquí no tengo más honey para cuestionar a nadie, investigar a nadie más. Ya me tocaría irme donde Lord Mortimer y ya dar mi veredicto. Decir que se suicidó o inventar y acusar cualquier inocente. A Jack de Perú, que no tuvo nada que ver, porque Jack de Perú al fin y al cabo es otro títere de Lord Mortimer. A Bonner, que tampoco tuvo nada que ver porque es otro... Pero en todo caso Bonner manipula al de Prusia. Todo eso. vamos a ver. Ahora típico me van a decir, no, déjemelo a mí. O sí, no sé qué. Y al final me van a decir, acusaste a alguien inocente sin pruebas. Cualquier vaina. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Voy a ensayar con Jack de Perú. Aunque yo sé que fue poseída y se suicidó. O digamos que se suicidó. Tenemos todas las claves. No.
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
A ver, tengo un culpable. Recuérdeme los datos que ya conocemos. Tengo pruebas, pero prefiero no acusar a nadie. Tengo un culpable. Tengo pruebas, pero prefiero no acusar a nadie. Tengo un culpable. Voy a decir eso. Tengo pruebas, pero prefiero no acusar a nadie.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it. Given the distinguished guests and the sensitive political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
Fue la Orden Dorada.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having support of a military man can often come in handy.
Acá yo
You'll
lo
see.
Mortimer en dos mentiras ya.
Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious.
No le quiero contar
I'd have been
nada a
delighted
Lord
to answer
Mortimer.
your question.
Is this
Lord
usual
Mortimer
for her?
degenerado.
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
My lord, I'm obliged to ask this question, but please don't take offense to it.
Ah, you wonder if Sarah was wary of me? It just so happens that I've been asking myself the very same question. Because I can't explain why Sarah didn't come to see me, knowing how influential I am. But to your point, I can't imagine she would be, although I am obviously not the best person to answer that question.
Thank you. I had to ask.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
Tell me about her disappearance.
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on. That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that? Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you. The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
Yo les voy a decir, yo no acusé a nadie porque sencillamente mi teoría es que Elizabeth se suicidó poseída por una fuerza que el asesino le hizo que se clavara los puñales y todas esas vainas. Y también la drogó para que pareciera que lo hubieran matado o que se hubiera suicidado. Entre comillas, no se suicidó. Bueno, entonces ahora vamos a ir por otros lados primero. Yo sé a dónde tenemos que ir, pero primero quiero conseguir una cosa.
Monsieur Jacques Perru?
Ya no se puede entrar, ya impiden entrar a las habitaciones. ¿Cierto? Yo creo que hasta la mía también, creo, ¿cierto? Y hasta la de Emily y todos ellos, ¿cierto? Y ya no se puede bajar al primer piso, ¿cierto? Cierto que no, ya no se puede. Espera un segundo, quiero ver una vaina aquí.
Duke Manuel Godoy.
Godoy no ha llegado todavía. Esta es mi habitación, ¿cierto? Todavía no puedo entrar tampoco yo, ¿cierto que no? La de Piagui tampoco se puede entrar todavía, ¿cierto que no? No, tampoco se puede entrar la de Piagui. ¿Sí eso que no?
Monsignor, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi.
Tampoco. Esta tampoco, que todavía no sabemos qué habitación es. Es otro saloncito ahí. Nunca supimos qué pasaba ahí. Tampoco podemos entrar a la de
President
George
George
Washington.
Washington.
Tampoco se puede entrar a la de George Washington. Esta es la de Alexandra Adams, Elizabeth Adams. Es que Alexandra Adams. Tampoco se puede entrar a la de ella. Acá tampoco se puede bajar, ¿cierto? Ay.
Monsieur Johann van Wulner.
Ahí tampoco se puede entrar a la de Johann von Wulner. Y finalmente esta sí, porque esta es la habitación de la torre donde está todo lo necesario para encontrar algunas pistas de la madre. Entonces ahora cogemos esto y acá hay
There
una
are burnt
pista.
papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise.
El paraíso de Dante.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
Luego vamos a encontrar un coso que es como un imán para abrir la puerta.
What is this disc? Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Creo una cosa por allá al fondo. Y acá.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus by
San Pablo camino a
Caravaggio.
Damasco, obra de Caravaggio. Examinar el cuadro, ya lo pusimos. Recuerdo esta historia. El mito de San Pablo es muy conocido.
Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too.
Bueno, ahí lo estamos.
Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
Salir. Y miren, dice, debemos dar con un modo más seguro de comunicarnos. Alguien va por nosotros, confío con plena fe en el hombre que porta la espada.
A pound.
Una libra. Entonces, primero nosotros vemos qué pasa ahí.
The door appears to be locked on the other side.
Entonces ahora lo que hacemos es dejar la puerta abrir. Sacar la
I
llave.
think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like let's see if it works.
Usar el disco.
It's open. St. Paul painted by Guido Rini.
Inspeccionar el
St.
cuadro.
Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. The chest with the occult symbol representing air. The New Testament. A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. This volume dates from the first edition by Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. The pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible. This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. I guess I'll just come back later. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. St. John, painted by Guido Reni. St. John is known as the youngest of Christ's apostles. Well, we often give credit to St. John for having written about the apocalypse in the last book of the Bible. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait! A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that?
Entonces ahora uno hace lo siguiente, va a hacer desde allá.
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, "Count in the dust." Alright, let's do it. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the acts counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? It must be the group of pilgrims mentioned from before. I guess maybe the city of Corinth is a reference to the epistle from Corinthians in the Bible. St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him! He's the youngest apostle! Right! This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course! There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? Because we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are
Ahí
eternal.
viene lo otro que viene. Es que tiene que ser en orden primero. El primero es 11-11. El segundo es 4 y pues no tiene hebreo, ¿cierto? San Paul, epístola. Tercero, Corintio. Y cuarto, ustedes describen cuál es el más joven. Y luego la quinta pista tiene que ser esta. Juan.
But he that
No,
hateth
esa no
his
es.
brother
Es
is
tres-
in
creo que
darkness,
es 3:10.
and walketh in darkness,
Espérense un
and
segundo.
knoweth not whither
O es
he
esa.
goeth, because that
No,
darkness
espérense que la
hath
tengo que
blinded his
anotar
eyes.
ahorita. Bien. Espérense un segundo. Ustedes vuelven a ver esto. No, volver. No, volver. Espérense un segundo. Volver al principio. ¿Cómo es que es? Esperen, me acuerdo. ¿Cómo es que he visto las revelaciones? No. Pedro, Santiago, no. Volver. Pedro, no. Espérense un segundo. ¿Cómo es que es?
And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready,
Es
he
esa.
fell into a
Ahí está.
trance. Hey,
Es esa.
there's a note here. A message
ese.
from Mother in reply to E.
Ahí está.
We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him.
Ahí está.
Allay suspicion. See you
Sí,
tomorrow
ahí está.
evening.
Ay, ay, ay.
Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I
Tiene que
suppose
ser
this
en el
must be the
orden que
last
lo
message.
dije. En el
What
orden que
happened
lo hice.
afterward?
Si no lo hacen en el orden
If
que
it's
lo
what I
hice,
suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by,
automáticamente, si ustedes no
I
responden
absolutely
algo y tienen
must
que
go
responder
beyond
algo
the
importante
nightmare?
ahora.
I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that?
¿A qué se refiere? Seguramente si habla es literal.
Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? The nightmare. Does that remind me of anything?
Sí. Es un lugar.
It must surely speak of a place. Granting that this is the case, where might it be found?
Lo va a encontrar en una estancia de la planta baja, no. Una estancia del primer piso, no. Una estancia del segundo piso. Una estancia del primer. En el estudio de Mortimer. Ahí está.
Yes! It's the painting that was behind Mortimer's study.
Ahí está. La
Well,
pesadilla.
let's see if Mortimer has anything to hide behind his
¿Saben
painting.
por qué? Porque como yo ya lo había hecho, entonces ya... Y tienen que hacerlo en orden. Y decir eso.
Mortimer's
Porque la
getting
primera
his
vez que lo
guests
hice,
together.
me equivoqué
How
y
to join
fracasé en
them so I
eso,
don't
del
look
mensaje.
suspicious.
Y sabía dónde era, pero ahí fracasé en descifrarlo, pero sé dónde era. Y ya como ya, entonces ya lo descifraste, ya lo desciframos. Lo descifraste quiere decir, lo desciframos todos juntos. Ya lo descifraste. El que está viendo esto, ustedes ya lo descifraron conmigo, ¿cierto? Reúnete con los otros invitados. Pero tenemos que ver bien qué más cosas nos falta por recoger. No hay nada por acá detrás, ¿no? Aquí arriba no hay nada. Acá solo hay un libro, ¿cierto? Hay que revisar. Ustedes también tienen que revisar todos los lugares que haya. Me faltaba acá.
Amber.
Eso me faltaba y yo sabía que algo me faltaba. Todavía no sabemos. A ver, espérense, ¿eso qué es? ¿Son puros? ¿Lo que está encima de una bandeja? Sí, son puros o tabacos.
The chest with the occult symbol representing
Aquí todavía no
air.
tenemos las llaves ni todavía no tenemos la capacidad de usar las llaves, ¿no? Apartarse. Sí, apartarse. Bueno, ahora nos vamos de aquí. Listo. Me he negado a... Podría haber encontrado la conversación entre mi madre y su compañera. Si la encontré, nos equivocamos, nos aceleramos, yo sé. Ahí le embarramos porque... Hay una cosa anterior, o sea, son 6 pasos, pero me aceleré, o sea, el 1, el 2, el 3, y me aceleré por un paso, y tienen que ver bien cuál es el que nos aceleramos, que no encontramos. Me he negado a señalarle un culpable a Lord Mortimer. He entendido de qué trata el mensaje de mi madre. He descubierto el mensaje de mi madre. Pues por lo menos solo fallamos esta vez en solo una cosa. Las veces pasadas fallamos en 2. Y caminos alternativos nos salieron unos caminos alternativos, pero bueno. $7 de nivel, 2400 de experiencia para el nivel 8. Objetivos completados, 1650 puntos, rasgos desbloqueados, 180 puntos, rasgos del personaje revelados, 150 puntos, nuevos personajes conocidos, 20 puntos, vulnerabilidades aprovechadas, 100 y objetos encontrados, 600 puntos. Entonces, hemos terminado el episodio 2. No hemos terminado el episodio 2. Empezamos apenas el primer capítulo o primera parte del episodio 2. Porque el episodio 2 se llama Escóndete y busca, o busca y escóndete, algo así, creo que se llama así. Episodio 2. Episodio 2. Hemos terminado la parte 5 del episodio 2, ¿Dónde está mi madre? O la parte 5 del episodio... No. Esta es la primera parte del episodio 2. Sí, ya. Este es el segundo episodio, se llama Escóndete y busca. O busca y escóndete. Y la primera parte de este episodio es este, ¿Dónde está mi madre? Sí, ya. Ahora vamos a ver aquí, asignar puntos. Engaño. Listo, vamos a ver si nos ayuda eso. Nos toca equipar 3 manuscritos y recuerde que tenemos que encontrar el otro, ¿cómo se dice? El otro escrito de la enciclopedia para que sean 3. Los 4 pensamientos de hombres y la sociedad por Mortimer. Y nos faltan 2 notas mías, pues no de mías, sino de Sara de Richard. Vamos a ver qué libros vamos a equipar. El Príncipe, el Teatrum Chemicum, y ¿cuál otro? Este no. Pensamientos sobre la Revolución Francesa, no. Y este. Un punto de habilidad en lingüística. Eso. Ya.